several days ago, after the hearing before the Armed Services Committee, when we learned that the Secretary of Defense had a 15-minute conversation with the President of the United States on September the 11th, the day of the attack on our consulate in Benghazi, that he had no further communication, that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs said that he never talked with the President again throughout that entire evening, and both of them said before the committee that they knew it was a terrorist attack that night. We started thinking, this is not adding up. And one of the questions, we've destroyed a small forest asking questions. Did you know about the April and June attack, Mr. President? We haven't gotten one response. But finally, we've gotten a response to a simple question. And the question was, on September the 11th, did you, Mr. President, personally call any Libyan government official to request assistance for our 4 Americans who were under attack? We have that response, received it, I think it was yesterday. It was written by the White House counsel, addressed to Senator Levin, but we'll take what we can get. 2-page letter from a lawyer, and the answer is no. The President of the United States did not make any phone calls to any government official in Libya the entire period of the attack. We found out from the letter he called government officials in Libya on September the 12th, after everybody was dead. Why is this important? If there's another attack somewhere in the world, it will be more likely that the next president or this president will pick up the phone and intervene if there's some oversight of your actions. I think after what John McCain and myself and others did with Bush interrogation techniques, it would be less likely that some administration will cut legal corners. This has always been about oversight. We applaud the president for the bin Laden raid. A tough call, Mr. President, to send troops into Pakistan. A million things could have gone wrong. You deserve credit. But this administration has a very interesting record here. They leak every detail of the bin Laden raid to the point that the doctor in Pakistan who helped us is now in jail. They leak details of cyber attacks against the Iranian program, allegedly with us in Israel. And they talk about interrupting a underwear bomber plot coming out of Yemen. 3 stories placed in the New York Times and other publications within about a month that showed a decisive, strong leader. We're on top of the war on terror. Then you have Benghazi. If it were not for the 3 of us and our other colleagues, you would still believe, the American people would believe, that this was a spontaneous event caused by a hateful video. That's what was being told by Susan Rice 5 days after the attack. That's what was being said by the President of the United States for weeks. The reason we know that's not true is because we dug, and we pushed, and we prodded. And now we know that during the entire attack, the President of the United States never picked up the phone to put the weight of his office into the mix. And there is no stronger voice in the world than that of the President of the United States. And I would just like to say that during the 3.5 hours that the rescue team was waiting in the Benghazi airport to get to the annex, they left Tripoli, they had to charter a plane, they got to Benghazi at 1:30 in the morning. It took 3.5 hours before they could get to the consulate. They were held up for a bunch of different reasons. Secretary Clinton said she was on the phone yelling at the Libyan government to help. And my belief is if the President of the United States had picked up the phone and lent the weight of his office, it could have made a difference, because the last 2 guys died within the last hour of the attack. It's not personal. It's about learning from your mistakes. And finally, who changed the talking points? Remember that whole debate? How could the President and Susan Rice tell the country that there's no evidence of a coordinated, pre-planned terrorist attack when the Secretary of Defense and the Chairman of Joint Chiefs described in detail how they knew that night it was a pre-planned, coordinated terrorist attack? That issue remains unresolved. We've given 5 different versions who changed the talking points with 4 different explanations. The American people and the families of the fallen need to understand what happened in Benghazi. Why was the story so distorted? And when Secretary Clinton told the families as the body returned, we're going to get the people who made that hateful video. The record needs to be clear. This wasn't about a hateful video. This was about a breakdown in national security. This was about an ambassador who was begging the State Department to send reinforcements for months. This was about a deteriorating security situation. This was about an attack you could see coming. This was about a complete failure of leadership where the Secretary of Defense never talked to the Secretary of State, where the President of the United States, as far as we know, was virtually disengaged. So we will continue pushing and asking questions about Benghazi, not because it's personal, not because we're Republicans and he's a Democrat, but because America needs to learn what happened, and we need to learn from our mistakes.